So when a semi-truck turns, the trailer follows on a shorter, more direct path than the truck's front wheels. The effect is called off-tracking, and I found that there's surprisingly few resources online for creating a rig that does this effectively. Fortunately, I found a trick that's pretty easy, and I'm going to show you how to set it up. First, you're going to need a vehicle. I'm going to set this up on a semi-trailer, but the same concept can be applied for non-articulated vehicles like buses, multi-articulated trailers, and even fish. So have fun with it. I got this model off of Sketchfab. There's a link in the description. The cool thing about this rig is that it only requires animation of the truck body. There's no secondary animation to the trailer, and there's no drivers. The trailer motion is physically accurate, and if you put it in reverse, it won't follow the same path that it did going forward. And it'll even jackknife like you would expect a real truck trailer to do. So let's get started. I have my truck and my trailer as separate geometry, and they each have their origin points in appropriate locations. The origin point of my truck is below the rear tires, and the origin point of the trailer is right at the hitch. The truck is also oriented in the negative Y direction. And let's start by creating an armature. This first bone is going to be our truck bone. We can set the insert point right at the origin, and the end point can move up to the front tires. Then let's select the origin of the bone and extrude in the other direction. This is going to be our trailer bone. We want the end point to fall right at the pivot point of the rear tires. In this case, since we have two axles, let's put it right here. Let's call this our trailer bone, and this our truck bone. Now we need one more bone at the end. This one doesn't control anything. We're just going to call it the end bone. Duplicate your end bone and Alt-P, clear parent. Call this our target bone. Let's make the target bone a little bit bigger just so we can differentiate it. And in pose mode, let's add a constraint, copy transforms, select the armature, and select the end bone. Then we're going to add an IK constraint to the trailer bone, so select your target bone and your trailer bone, Shift I, add IK to active bone, set the chain length to 1, and then I like to take the iterations just up to 1,000. Now, as you can see, nothing is parented to our truck bone, so to fix that, let's take our trailer bone, shift select the truck bone, make sure we're in edit mode by the way, and Control P, make parent keep offset. Now if we move this truck bone around, our rig moves exactly the way we want it to. Now at this point we could animate this truck bone, or we could constrain it to a path, but I prefer constraining objects or empties to paths rather than bones. It just makes things a little bit simpler. So let's go back into object mode. Let's create a new empty. Make sure this is located right at the origin point of your truck and the truck bone. And let's select the armature and go into pose mode. Select your truck bone and add a copy transforms constraint and select your empty that you just created. And it looks like it's going to flip our rig 180 degrees. So let's undo that real quick. Go back into object mode, take our empty, make sure it's rotated on the Z 180 degrees, and then come back into our pose mode, select our truck bone, and set the target as the empty. Perfect. Now, if you go into object mode, you can move this empty around, and your armature will move with it. Not bad. So all we have to do now is attach our truck parts to our armature, select the truck body and then the armature, Control P to go into pose mode, select our truck body bone, Control P, set parent to bone, back into object mode, select our trailer, shift select the armature, Control Tab to go into pose mode, select your trailer bone, and Control P, set parent to bone. Now back in object mode, if we select our empty, we should be able to animate our truck. Perfect. So now we can test this out on a curve path just to make sure everything is working correctly. Let's Shift A, create a curve. I'm going to create a path. Let's make something kind of interesting here. Now we can select our empty and add a follow path constraint. Select the path that we just created, follow curve, and the negative y, and let's see what this looks like. Nice. That's exactly what we're looking for. So one thing to keep in mind is that the off-tracking motion is also going to apply to the vertical axis. So as you can see, when our truck comes up over a hill, the trailer off tracks and cuts that distance a little bit. So to avoid this, at least to an extent, head into pose mode, select your trailer bone with the IK constraint, and drop down this inverse kinematics tab, add a bit of stiffness to the x-axis. I like to do 0.9 in this case. Now if we look at that again, the effect isn't quite so obvious. And that is just about it. So have fun with it, and thanks for watching.